voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
We talked about propaganda in the electioneering period and how people cook up all sorts of things and hang on their political opponents, and possibly from all areas, and whoever is interested in the whole election thing. I recall Tony said it is part of the electioneering process. Propaganda, people sell all sorts of things to demarket their opponents. Well, what we saw yesterday, I cannot tell if it was propaganda, but we saw a full-on statement alleging, emphasis on the word, alleging that levies have been imposed on some persons in a bid to support the election or the re-election of Governor Soludo. The other day we talked about donations that have been made, and this particular, what do I call it now, circular, alleges that some persons have been levied. Town unions have been levied, youth leaders have been levied, town unions 75,000, youth leaders 30,000 naira. They're supposed to contribute this, and it will be their own donation to the re-election of Governor Soludo. That's the campaign of APGA for the election that is just about 12 days away. If I'm not mistaken, 6 plus or 7 plus
that's 16 days
8.
away from today.
That's about 14 days away, actually.
15 days.
15 days away, yeah. 7 and 8, 15. 15 days away. And when I saw that, I was like, how? Excuse me, why? But before morning, we saw a rebuttal saying that was a lie. That statement, excuse me, that was released is a total lie. And of course, when things like this happen, you start to ask yourself, what was the intention in the first place? And of course, yesterday, the new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Ampwito, was sworn in to take over the helm of affairs at INEC. And of course, he has made promises, fingers crossed. Anambra election come November 8 is going to be the first test of integrity of Professor Joash Ampwito. We look forward to seeing how well he proves his mettle. And of course, other matters on our desk this morning we get to look at on the Polity. This morning on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu, and of course, Franklin Ebuka is playing beside. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Chisom, and good morning to everyone listening to us this very morning. Just to remind you that we're always live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. And you talked about Ampwito, who took over yesterday. He was sworn in, and after the swearing in, he went to INEC headquarters, had a meeting with the staff of INEC, and then he was handed over and he assumed responsibility yesterday. And the president has given him a charge that Anambra election is a litmus test for him to show what he can do. And he made some assurances that he's going to ensure that our electoral system is upgraded. So we have to have our eyes on him to see how things are going to happen. By the way, a team of INEC delegation, is in Anambra State. I think they arrived about 2 days ago.
Was it 2 days ago?
2 days ago. And they've been undertaking some activities. Yesterday, they had some engagement with their EOs where they told them what is expected from them. And they said that from what they have seen on ground, they are satisfied with the preparations so far. I also heard that they had engagement with transporters who are going to convey the electoral materials. They are very critical when it comes to logistics. So if they get it right, that means we're going to get election materials arriving on time on that election day. If they fail to do that, it's going to affect the time we are going to start the election. Don't forget that from INEC regulations, elections are supposed to open by 8:30. So if we're going to get it right, we must tighten all the loose ends when it comes to the arrangement with the transport unions who are going to help in this very materials distribution. Then away from that, today there is a debate that is going to happen in Oka for governorship candidate, but I think the debate is not actually looking at the front line because it's titled Voices Beyond the Front Lines. So I think it could be a platform to offer some other persons opportunity for them to tell people of Anambra State what they want to do and why they deserve their vote. So that's number one happened today in Oka. Then today too is the end of media accreditation for this election. So any media house or any media person who fails to do accreditation by today, of course, it's online. You go online, submit your nominations, and then INEC gets approved. If you fail to do that today, it could be au revoir to Cote d'Ivoire, because on election day, you need the accreditation tag for you to be able to move from one point to the other. If you're not going to have challenges with, policemen, because in as much as you might have a media staff ID card, but in some cases, you meet some policemen who are very obstinate. They will tell you that without that tag, you can move from one point to the other. So that's number one. Then the issue of town union that you mentioned, the allegation, of course I saw that, because from what I saw yesterday, there's this allegation that the Association of Town Unions in Anambra State gave a mandate that PG should pay 75,000 naira in support of the re-election bid of the governor. Then the women wing and the youth wing, each person should pay 30,000 naira. But guess what? I saw that reporter that came from an official of the town union. He's saying that he didn't actually deny it completely. He said it wasn't a levy, that it is a voluntary contribution they are making towards that very re-election bid that they believe in. The thing is, when we raised this thing last time, the consensus we have is that in as much as people who have sympathy for one candidate or the other might want to donate for their election, but the point is when it gets into certain institution that is not supposed to you're not supposed to get into, and it becomes an issue of politics. That's where the concern should be, and maybe in the coming days we might have clearer things about this. Then to even add, yesterday the APC Guba candidate was on TV where he talked about his plans for Anambra State. But I picked up something yesterday. When he was asked question about this seeming relationship between the president and the governor of Anambra State, as if the president is supporting the re-election bid of the incumbent, he was a bit agitated about that very question. And I was just asking myself whether there is something he knows about that relationship that we do not know. But like we do always say that all these speculations, all these rumors, all these inferences, in a matter of days, of course, all of them are going to be over. So they are going to go to the polls and then test their mettle, see who has that very goodwill or popularity amongst the people. And then finally, tomorrow is the mock accreditation, which INEC has scheduled. They are going to use the mock accreditation to test the beavers, test the IRF. It's going to happen in some selected polling units cut across the 3 geopolitical zones in Anambra State. And INEC is saying if you are registered in these very areas, you can come out and witness yourself, so that they do this. Let's see if we can get some integrity from this very election. So if you can, we urge you to show up in those very places and see how INEC is going to do this. Of course, we have some places, like if you go to Anambra Center, for instance, I'm not going to give out all of them. For Anambra Central, there is this Okasad Amobia 2, Ugudima Primary School, for instance. I know it's going to happen there. Maybe I should look for the one closer here.
Probably the ones in Onitsha.
Yeah, there's one that is going to happen at Anambra Central Board 2. Ifadigo Hall is going to happen there. Then there's one going to happen at Integer 3, Gear Secondary School Integer is going to happen there. I tried to see if there's anyone here in Onitsha. I didn't find any. Rather, we have some. You have one at Aguleri. There's also one at Ekulobianco. So plenty of them. But in essence, if you can show up in these very places and see how INEC is going to test this, the feedback you give them will help them maybe to go back and see if they're going to go back to the drawing board or believe that the preparations are on track.
All right, then, we're not alone in the studio. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki is here with us. Tony, you saw the circular, and of course, you've heard everything that followed. It definitely will take a look at all of those when the conversations start proper. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Indiana. Good morning, Onitsha. Good morning, everyone under the reach of our voice. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here. And remember, we are here to do the Lost work. This is the Lost Vineyard, just like I always say, and this is also our sanctuary. And we are in the sanctuary to do justice to some developing stories. It's a pleasure being here. And then when you ask me if I see the propaganda, just like I always say, is part of the process.
Is it exactly propaganda? Franklin did point out a while ago that they said free will. If you want to, you can go ahead and do that.
You know why I think it's propaganda is this. Maybe a town may decide to do this, and situations whereby you now make a hasty generalization. In my own town, there is nothing like that. It could be a given town that decides to let's do this within themselves. It's a decision taken by themselves, and now the propaganda aspect of it is now imposed on every community. That is propaganda.
You're right. Fingers crossed.
It's propaganda. So the point is, I'm from Anambra State, and also we have a PG, and we also have a union, and then from those who have inquired from, there is nothing of such. But if a particular community decides to do this on their own, it becomes what they decided, not that it was imposed. Look at the difference. Something imposed and something decided by a community. And the other part of it is where it was a case of a particular community, and now you are saying it's everywhere in the state. So that's the propaganda aspect of it.
There's something that worries me about that rebuttal, which was made by an official of the town union. If you check Daily Post newspaper today, you are going to see that very story. And that part that worries me is where the person acknowledged that such exists, but he said that it's a voluntary thing. Nobody is being forced to do so and so. But where I got worried is where he said that the governor has been very what's the right word? He said the governor has been very favorable to them. The governor has been very friendly to the town union, and of course, they have to show him that they are in sync with his re-election bid. And he said that the governor increased the take home of PGs. Should I call it an incentive for PGs?
Yeah, from
20,000 to 100,000, and he's likely to do more, and they have to align. So that is the part that worries me. I don't know whether he thought twice before going to the press to make that kind of statement, because if that is the situation, of course, people should be worried about this, because it now appears as if the town union has become an extension of the government.
He actually did say that the governor, is planning, in his words, to make the town unions the fourth tier of government in the state. And so it's beginning to look like there is something you're not telling us, or you guys have something is questionable, and you people are excusing it with all of this. But of course, we keep our fingers crossed. Mr. Governor hasn't come out to say that he's making the town union the fourth tier of government.
I think it is given that governor cannot make town unions the fourth tier. We have a constitution we follow.
Simple.
And at the same time, even before now, town unions have been seen as the fourth tier of government, because immediately after the local government, you have different town unions. So it is assumed in principle, not that governor is coming to make it. Nah, it is assumed in principle that it is the third tier, because the fourth tier, because for you to make developmental projects handy, you need to bring them on. We have traditional rulers; they don't have constitutional role. Before now, we are told that even the traditional rulers are the fourth, but now that the executive aspect of every town is handled by the town unions, not the traditional rulers. The traditional rulers are just the custodian of culture and tradition, where they become the ceremonial head. But the executive head of every town is the PG. The president general is the executive head. Then the traditional ruler becomes the ceremonial head. So in any way it goes, you find out that it has been assumed before now that it is the fourth tier of government, but it just exists in principle, not in law.
Okay, so Tony, I would have wanted these very people to have done something differently other than the way they did it, because from what I have gathered so far, of course, people are making some payment towards a certain ambition. That's a fact now. But what I would have preferred is the fact that it should have been separated from the town union council. Now, if a PG feels that he likes this very candidate and he wants to donate for that very ambition, feel free to go and donate. Why am I saying this? If you come to a town, if you come to every town, each town union has executives, and those executives are not sure that all of them belong to one political party. Then the town you represent, I'm not sure that every member of that very town belong to the one political party. So if you are going to represent us, or if you are going to stand with our name, that so and so is making such and so commitment, it doesn't bode well. So I prefer where, if they want to do this kind of thing, stand out as an individual. Go and make your commitment to any way you want to make commitment, depending on whatever you are pursuing. That's what I prefer.
Okay, I think I also want to add, because sometimes it's always good to be specific. We must mention the town involved here, so that for clarity purpose, because I don't agree, and I'm yet to also have every empirical evidence before me that says that there is a circular that says every town. That's not true. There's no self-circular, and I've not spotted one. If anybody has spotted, please bring it on. And secondly, in the very town in question that may have decided to go this way, we need to mention the town, so that for clarity purpose, I said and I spotted that as somebody who is good in fact checking, there is no time any government, even if it is a Banana Republic government, can come and make such imposition in an election. It's not. There are things that you cannot easily accept or agree
to. It's not coming from government.
It's not coming from the
government. Okay, let me read out something. Government is not involved. It's just like town union
a group
on their
of
own.
People. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, now,
and if you say a group of people, it is important to mention that very town.
No, you don't get the point.
All right.
Sorry, give me a second.
Let me read
Franklin.
this.
It is alleged from this that how people who represent you have governors forum.
Yeah.
They have a WhatsApp group. They have town union presidents. They have a WhatsApp group. So the allegation is that in their WhatsApp group, this message was put out.
In that WhatsApp group, what's the title of the WhatsApp group?
All right. Okay. Now
I'm not supposed to know.
No, you know why I'm saying this.
The circular is what was put out.
Okay, please.
Let me read this now. Let me read this now. So this is a story that is on Daily Post. The headline says Anambra Town Union Council denies allegation of being forced to fund Soludo's campaign. Now I'm going to the part that concerns what we are saying now. Now it says that the media coordinator of ASTUC simply means Anambra Town Union Council. That's what ASTUC means. Now it says the media coordinator of ASTUC and President General of UK Community, Chief Peter Onyejebu, insisted that the letter was a fabrication geared at discrediting the union for their support for Soludo. He, however, did not dispute that the members of the organization were making donations towards Soludo's campaigns, but insisted that no one was being coerced to pay, nor was there any intention to punish those who failed to pay. Now look at the actual word he said. It is a lie from the pit of hell. We actually agreed by ourselves to endorse Mr. Governor with free will token of not more than 75,000 naira each. No one was forced to do so. No one objected either, and I don't think we asked anybody to advocate on our behalf. I can't speak for Women's Wing or Youth Wing, but I know that the write-up is totally fake. We as PGs are paying out of love for Mr. Governor. Soludo's government is ASTUC friendly, and he increased the monthly stipend from 20,000 naira to 100,000 naira. It's ready to go higher.
Let me explain what you just read. From what I understand, ASTUC is a council of different different communities, not the communities now. It's a council.
Developmental bodies of the communities.
Town unions.
That's they have a council. All the town unions, they have a council. We have ASATU, Association of Town Unions. So that is ASATU. Then you have a council now, and this is the ASTUC, according to this write-up. And from what the ASTUC is trying to say, that amongst them, as a council, as a members of council, they took this decision, not levied on the communities. From the look of this thing, the communities are off from this. ASATU, when they come, just let me give an instance. You have students, you have College of Dean, and then you have this Dean Student Affairs. So where College of Dean decide to do something, they are not doing it in the interest of the students. They are doing it amongst themselves. But the point is this: we have a law, Electoral Act, that has stipulated how much, because the council becomes an entity. Is important. The council becomes an entity. So in that rectitude, they have a limitation to make. They can decide amongst themselves to do whatever they want, but the key thing is that there is a limitation. They cannot give more than 50 million. That's what the law says. They are an entity. They can't give more. But do they have powers to come amongst themselves, within themselves, to decide that they want to do this? The answer is yes.
Totally. We explained
but
that already.
They cannot give more than 50 million.
The bone of contention now from all conversations out there in the polity is the question of the compulsion. And the chairman of Uke Town Union has come out to say we were not compelled to. It was something we agreed. And they agreed that and they have agreed to do it. So that allegation of that there is a circular that was put out in their WhatsApp that if you don't do it, you're going to be kicked out, because that's what the message I was making rounds yesterday said. It said you're going to be kicked out.
That
of
is the propaganda,
group, and
it's part of politics. It's part of it, and that's the side attraction to some of these things. I've said that propaganda is part of electioneering, because the idea is to make sure that you demarcate this person, or you market this person, or these are side attractions. So it is part of the politics, but it's also good that whenever one is peddled against you or for you, you have to do a rebuttal. That's the case, as this case has also shown.
All right, then let's keep our fingers crossed that we're going to the Daily Sun newspaper now. And on our desk, there is the Daily Sun, Vanguard, The Guardian, and The Punch. And on the Daily Sun newspaper, some of the stories you'd find here, the banner one is on page 6. Tinubu gives INEC chair marching orders on Anambra Gaba election. The writer here, I will deliver free, fair, transparent polls, vows Ampiton as he assumes office. Above that, NAS moves to repeal Electoral Act. The writer, as Senate, House of Reps joint committees meet. This is on page 6. Terrorism charge, Nnamdi Kanu sacks legal team. Calls Wike, Uzodimma, Malami, others as witnesses on page 4. And you'd see some more here on page 26. Why Africa's development is stunted, Wike has that to say. He calls for homegrown investments to drive development. Foreign inflows surged to 31% to 1.03 trillion naira amid renewed investor confidence. Reps moved to strip president of past to sack EFCC chairman. We recovered 566 billion naira, $411 million, 1,502 property in 2 years. Commission boss on page 26. Hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu now. Please arrest Shore at IPOB leaders trial. Claim he hired protesters into restricted areas in contravention of court order on page 4. You saw the video that trended yesterday of Shore and Nnamdi Kanu greeting at the entrance of the court. It was I call it a merry gathering before Shore was then arrested. But these are the stories you'd find on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper. And
also interestingly, because I saw the video showing the conversation between Showore and the policeman that came to arrest him, where he asked the policeman, the policeman asked him whether he was recording the incident, and he said no, but at the end of the day we saw the video. But where I'm going to is, police going to arrest Showore after the Nigerians cried out, asking questions to why some of the people who went for the protest were arrested, whereas Showore was not arrested. And guess what the police said when they tried to defend the action? They said it's going to be unfair to arrest and charge others to court, whereas the convener or the organizer of the protest was not arrested. So it's an afterthought. Maybe by the time we go into conversation, we'll talk about it so that we'll bring out the things in this very move made by the police, because for me it was shambolic and laughable. Then let's look at the headlines we have on Vanguard newspaper. The banner headline says, integrity of our elections non-negotiable. Amopito, INEC chairman. The story is on page 5. It has a rider. We will demonstrate our commitment with Anambra governorship poll. Serve with integrity beyond reproach. Tinubu charges Amopito. Then, above the nameplate of this very newspaper, there are about 4 headlines, and one of them says, Anambra Showdown 2025. Oyi, Anambra East local government areas boost Soludo with endorsement donations. The story is on page 4. Alleged terrorism, Kano sacks legal team to open defense today. The story is on page 11. PDP, Jonathan under pressure to drop 2027 presidential ambition. The story is on page 12. I learned that the likes of Tom Polo, they have been going to Jonathan asking him to drop his ambition, giving him reasons why he should drop that so that they can support the re-election bid of Mr. President. By the way, Tom Polo is back to business because of the security deal that he's been running for the government of Nigeria. Then another headline says PDP national chair. That's a kicker. It says Turaki emerges North consensus candidate. The question has been, this Turaki, does he have that very clout and influence to be able to weather the storm in the PDP if eventually he emerges the PDP national chairman? He has some riders, or two riders. One says BOT slams Anyanwu's forgery allegation as baseless. Dere has lost legitimacy to continue in office as governor, BOT chair. Check page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. LP crisis, Usman demands former acting INEC chairman's arrest. The story is on page 9, and the question is, why was Usman asking for his arrest? Under Abamuchembo, the last time that INEC had a meeting with political parties, INEC invited Abure as the chairman of Labour Party, and INEC said that he did so because of a certain court order asking the commission to recognize Abure as the chairman of Labour Party. But Nana Usman and co are questioning that. They said that INEC did that based on a forged and non-existent court order. That's why the woman should be arrested. But Imana Onwade Jebanu Barakana, Usman fired, and then Abure faction also fired, saying that they're going to petition the NBA to go after Nana Usman and co. Then election petition, opposition parties back Senate on shifting burden approved to INEC. The story is on page 15. On the sports column, Oshimen worth more than 100 million. Who is saying so? The coach of Galatasaray. He's the one. Our hitman. So there's the story, or these are the stories we have on the front page of the newspaper.
All right, then let's go to the next paper on our desk this morning, and let's see what the front page of the Guardian says. Tinubu demands credible elections as Amputor faces an umbrella hurdle on page 6. EFCC, we recovered 566 billion naira, $411 million, 1,502 properties in 2 years. That's on page 7. The question is not about recovering. What happens? Are we proposing these properties for the common good of Nigerians, or are we having them re-looted, as has been alleged in the past? Challenging decisions in court makes mockery of Nigeria. Nas laments on page 7. Challenging elections in court makes mockery of Nigeria. Nas laments on page 7. 22,050 displaced children back in school in 3 northwest states, says SCI on page 31. Defections marking the APC senator decry lack of political ideology in Nigeria on page 6. Kanosak's legal team opts to represent self in court on page 9. And then, from promise to paralysis inside Akwa Ibom's lost industrial decades. That's on pages 4 and 5. That's an editorial special report there. Again, Tinubu appeals for understanding over economic challenges on page 31. Remove 4% FOB levy, your consumers bear burden, manufacturers tell FG on page 22.
Okay, so over to the last paper we have this morning, the Punch newspaper. Beside the nameplates, we have the headline. It begins with a kicker: 2027. Jonathan faces mounting pressure to drop presidential bid. The story is on page, that should be page 8 of Punch newspaper. Then, wealth means nothing without a good name. Kensington Adebutu. He's the one. Check the stories on page 24 and 25. Medical tourism spending falls 52% under Tinubu CBN report. The story is on page 7. Tony, I don't know if you saw that report that was put out by some persons in the media, claiming that some directors who were appointed in the CBN, and it seemed like all the directors came from one particular geopolitical zone in Nigeria. And then below the nameplate, Tinubu to Amupeto make 2027 polls transparent, violence-free. Check page 2 of the Punch newspaper. He has a rider that says, new INEC board steps in, vows to restore voters' confidence. Tinubu advises on reforms. Then, FG launches nationwide crackdown on oil gold smugglers. Check page 2. Assailant shoots shawarma vendor dead in Lagos. The story is on page 4 and 5. And the last headline we have on the front page of Punch says, Anambra poll, INEC team arise for mock accreditation. Check page, that's page 7 of Punch newspaper.
All right, then we're going to start off the conversation proper. And like I said earlier, when we started, yesterday was a significant one. Ampito was sworn in, and of course, work has started for him. He had his first meeting yesterday, and I'm going to be taking the details of what he said from the Vanguard newspaper. And of course, Professor Joash Ampito yesterday vowed to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's electoral process, describing it as non-negotiable. Speaking as he resumed work at the INEC headquarters in Abuja during his inaugural meeting with directors after being sworn in by President Bola Tinubu, the new election chief pledged to deliver free, fair and credible elections that will reflect the true will of Nigerians. He promised to demonstrate his commitment to credible polls with the November 8 Anambra State governorship election. And of course, when he spoke yesterday, he said, I'm going to take some part of what he said. The eyes of the nation are upon us, and it is our duty to rise to this occasion, or to that occasion. I have just been briefed about some of the preparations, but as I informed the acting chairman, our preparation, no matter how good it may be, is only as good as the cooperation and support we receive from the stakeholders, including the politicians and the general public. He also spoke about restoring the confidence of voters, and of course this has been one major point of concern for most people who have looked into the electoral process in Nigeria. And this is also just as a team from INEC arrived in Anambra for mock accreditations. Franklin mentioned this earlier. This team is made up of 4 people. They are leading a delegation from the headquarters of INEC. They arrived, some reports say Wednesday, some say Thursday, in Anambra to access the Commission's readiness for the election scheduled for November 8. We understand that this team is made up of the National Commissioner in charge of election planning and monitoring, Professor Rhoda Gumos, the National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumeko, the Supervising Officer for Anambra State, Dr. Kenneth Ukago, and the Chairman Electoral Operations and Logistics Committee, Dr. Baba Bila. The team is expected to look at how far the preparations have come and of course carry out a mock accreditation and a comprehensive review of preparations, all to demonstrate that INEC is ready and fully committed to conducting a free, fair and credible election in Anambra State. And so, Tony, let's start with Ampeto's speech yesterday. What do you make of it?
It is expected. What he said yesterday is expected. So you don't expect anything different. We have had different INEC chairmen who had given us similar speeches after being sworn in by the president. I remember even Morisiwu, who destroyed our electoral system, gave something much more pleasing to what Amopetan has given. Even Mahmoud Yakubu, whom some people believed also took us backwards, apart from the fact that he upgraded the card reader to beavers and innovated or came up with innovations like the iRef and other things he came up with, the facial recognition. But do these things, do they impact on the election itself? So it's expected, based on what Amopete is trying to tell us, that it's going to uphold credibility, fairness, and at the same time bringing trust, confidence in the system. It's expected. That is what other INEC chairmen said in the past. So the important thing is he should identify problems, because every solution begins with identification of the problem itself, the diagnosis. I had expected him to conduct diagnosis on different organs and study past elections. It's on record that we had the best of elections during the time of Atahiru Jega. And one would ask me, what is a basis? I can only use this yardstick as a basis for ranking good or bad elections. I'm looking at the petitions submitted after the election. If we have or witness more petitions, it shows that even the contestants, even political parties, have no confidence in the system. That's why they are challenging almost every election as it were. So if you go by these statistics, you can quite agree that under Atahiru Jega, he brought election petition, especially immediately after the 2011 general election. He brought it down to 51% in 2011. And I will let you know what it were before 2011. Then in 2015, that was the last election he conducted at Atahiru Jega, he brought election petition down to 45%. And this is a man who came on the background when election petition was 86.35%. Morisi, who left election petitions, that is people that challenged election or elections after being conducted by Morisi, who led INEC, the percentage of such contestation was 86.35%. That means that almost all the offices the election took place in, we are being challenged. 86.35%. But Atahiru Jega, he made some of these speeches, brilliant speech Mopeto made, but we are not counting on the speeches. We are not interested in those speeches. What we are interested in is in what? In action. So when he came up, he brought it down from 86.35% petitions down to 51%. A remarkable feat. Now, in 2015, he also achieved another feat by bringing it down to 45%. But guess what? Mahmood Yakubu took over. What did he do? Instead of to improve on downward spiral of election petitions, because that's the only thing we can use to gauge how good the election is deemed, he reversed it from the 45. Jega left it. So you can understand that it went backwards, it went up. So Mahmood, before you know it, the 2019 from 45 he rose it down to 54%. He brought it up again. And then the 2023, the last election, that was the worst of all the elections he had conducted. So it took it back to 80%. So what it means that the work done by Jega in bringing sanity, bringing confidence in the system, reversed by Mahmoud Yakubu. But you know what? Yakubu did bring some things that would help him to achieve the downward spiral, but could there be compromise?
Could he achieve the downward spiral? I think that is the question, because it is one thing to have good intentions, put mechanisms in place to help you achieve your goal. But were you able to use those mechanisms to achieve your goal, especially where it cost the country a fortune?
It's just important. And he has not been, in fact, he has been supported more than any other INEC boss. The last I checked, the last election, 2023, general election cost the country over 300 billion. And in that 300 billion, we are told about IRF, we are told about improved beavers, the one that records no glitch or whatever you call it. We are told about real-time viewing of INEC and results. We are told all these things. And the confidence, though people were skeptical anyway, but the confidence, as expected, we actually gaining momentum. But what happened? People were disappointed upon all the technologies, upon all the innovations. The last INEC chairman brought beavers, improved beavers better than card reader. It was Jagad for the first time that told us that for accreditation to happen, there must be a card reader that would accredit you as a voter. Before now, results were written. You don't even know the number of accredited persons to an election. So he stopped that. Yes, Mahmoud Yakubu came and said, card reader is outdated. We are going to bring beavers, the one that can also capture your face, capture your thumbprints and other things, and can also have the strength to even do transmission. He told us that beavers can as well transmit electronically. You can as well vote with beavers. He told us quite a lot of things, but Electoral Act could not permit certain things, as the case may be. In last election, 2023 election, he brought IREF, the INEC results viewing portal. He brought quite a number of things. The key thing he told Nigerians was that as this voter is casting his vote, you are viewing the result. So everyone thought it was going to be that way.
It was going to be like, how you have it in reality shows. The numbers are coming up.
Exactly, you'll be. He told us that, but he introduced a glitch. And that glitch, we don't know where it came from. But that's what he told us.
Maybe things were not checked up properly.
And when he announced result, when Nigerians were sleeping, in fact, he told us that the result would be announced at so time. He went against his words and announced result around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. So, if you look at it, he started on a high note. Before you know it, the pitch became so low.
So we're looking forward to see what Mopito is going to achieve. But hold on to that thought, Tony. We're going to talk more about what expectations are concerning Mopito, especially since his first test of integrity is going to be the Anambra State election. We're counting down 15 days to go. We see how it eventually pans out. But of course, I also would like you to speak on the 4-man team that was sent down to Anambra to gauge how ready INEC is for that election. But before then, some commercials, then we come back to the conversation. Do stay.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
On the move again, Anambra is Abga. Abga is Anambra. Soludo is our choice, on the move again. Good road, free education, quality healthcare service, new government house for lighthouse or solution from city, Okoko new heaven, better security, many better life project. On the move again, Anambra is Abga. Abga is Anambra. Soludo is our choice.
On November 8th, vote for continuity and more development. Vote the Soludo Ibezim ticket. Let the solution continue. Abga, Onyaga na Wanneya. Vote Okuko. mana dịka nwafọ Naija nwoke maọbụ nwaanyị ebe ugbu a ị kwesịrị ime onye na-akpọ gị n'ekwentị. Ohere na-abịa so naanị otu ugboro, mana nke bụ ezigbo ajụjụ dị na ya bụ ị ga-adịkwa na njikere. Ekwekwala ka ohere ọzọ ganarị. Lee anya otu kọlụ ziri ezi nwere ike ịgbanwe ndụ gị. Tinye Truecaller app n'ekwentị gị tata, mara onye na-akpọ gị, hụ na ịtụfughị ohere ịnweta otu kọlụ ahụ nwere ike ịgbanwe ihe niile. Truecaller, za ezigbo oku.
There is one real estate called Higher Ground.
Higher Ground Estate Limited is a real estate company with a difference, working together as a community and growing together like one family. We have land in all the eastern states of Nigeria, Ala Igbo, Okasi Delta State, Ebo Torute. Higher Ground Estate Limited na-efisa n'anya ime acquire properties. Anyị Nigeria jeru n'isi mmiri. We have two titles when you come to documentation. 1. Registered survey plan. 2. Deed of conveyance. Higher Ground is a good place to invest, for we have a high level of return on investment, ROI. We also do land banking and estate management. Our head office is located at number 59 Orifite Street, Awada Obosi, and number 5 Frank Omare Street, opposite High Court, GRA, Asaba Delta State. You can call us on 0806 373 4641. Higher Ground Estate Limited, going higher every day.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Still the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Conversations are still around what is expected of the Anambra State election come November 8, especially now that we have a new man in charge of INEC. Safe to say that a new sheriff is in town. Things are expected to be rejigged. We expect new policies, new things happening. And of course, Tony, before we went on that break, you were talking about what we expect of Ambitor. Since you've given us a rundown of what other INEC chairmen promised and how they ended up, what is it now that you expect from the promises of Ambitor?
From our background check, Amopiton seems to be what he said he is. From checks I've conducted. Yes, but the roles he had taken in the past are quite different from the role he's occupying now. Yeah, he's from Deputy Vice Chancellor Operations and other things he has done in the past. Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Somebody who is a first-class material. He has won awards available at the time he won these awards. Yes, from the background checks, I read some of the things he said while he was being screened by the Senate, and we made findings to discover that those things he said are true. He didn't come up with anything, Some of us went to University of Jos using contacts we have there to ask about this man.
So you trust that he is going to deliver?
Hold on. We asked some students, those he has even taught, when it comes to examinations, those that he had lectured at the different stages, masters, PhD degrees, those that he had supervised. Everybody's saying that this man is sound as he claimed, that they cannot say that he has been involved in this. He's somebody cannot bribe out. But he is facing another challenge. The ones he had faced in the past, these were smaller challenges, very small ones. And then you cannot use that to measure the integrity ratio. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yes, he has swum, or he has gone through the murky waters of lower echelon. Now he's at the upper echelon. Can he also come through the way he came through in the smaller ones? Yes. Mr. President swore him in. And we have said that is not supposed. We must amend the Constitution and also the Electoral Act. You can imagine a candidate, even though the timetable is not out, and we know very well that he has not been called a candidate of APC for 2027 election, but we assume that he is going to be, because they have endorsed him as their sole candidate. The candidate of a party is swearing in the referee for his contestation. What an irony. It's a big irony anyway.
Okay, let me come in here. I just want to make some postulations before we continue, because like Tony said, that the man seems to have a clean record from every available checks people have done. Nobody has been able to say that this man has been caught in this kind of irregularities in the past. Fantastic, we must say. Then for me, beyond speaking English, beyond what people say, that is saying that every man has a price. It might be true, it might not be true, but when you are tested with certain things, that's when you're going to know whether you have integrity or not. Now we have a man who has been drawn into politics, because this is politics, and we know that in politics there are many factors, many things come to play. They have this factor they call I'll show you the future. It's always there in the politics, and when it comes to play, that is when you will now know whether you're a man of great a man of integrity or not. Now, I'm not going to judge Amopito by the conduct of Anambra Guber election. Why am I saying this? If the election comes out excellently well, credible, free, fair, I'm not going to judge him with that. Why? Because the government does not have any vested interest in the election. Now, and he just came in, he's going to ride on what has been established already for the election. So it's after the election, by the time he must have stayed for like 6 months, when he must have his hand on everything, they will now begin to judge him to know if actually he is what he says he is. By the time he will begin to conduct elections where interest like Wike, interest of the president is there. Take for instance, by the time he's going to conduct the council election in FCT.
Yeah, of course.
Then, of course, we're going to know when he begins to have pressure from different quarters, whether he's going to withstand that or not. But for Anambra Guber election, I don't see him having so much pressure coming from the presidency to conduct the election.
I think now, there is something we must also be very careful with. Let's assume he conducts the FCT council election and APC clears every council, about 6 or thereabouts. Let's assume. And people will say, oh, because APC has won every council, he has not done well. No, you don't judge elections based on the person you are thought will not win and based on your own personal bias and the person first to win. No, elections are not judged. We judge elections based on what happened on the day of election.
That's what I'm saying.
And possibly the contestants, how they feel about it, and the petitions they come up with. Because there could be reasons where other parties may go to sleep and APC may be doing their homework and comes out to win, and you are saying because APC has won a FCT council and Mopiton is corrupt, he's no. It can be judged.
Election is not judged that very way, because there are variables or there are criteria that you can look at and say, okay, what is election is free and fair. And the one thing about free and fair election is that you won't tell somebody it's free and fair. People will feel it.
They see it for themselves. They're part of the process.
So even if the party in power wins, people will be able to feel it and see that, oh, actually this party deserves to win. Now, so we are going to about what we expect from this very person is he has so much task on him. One is this. The reason we brought in beavers was the fact that we wanted to stop the issue of stuffing a ballot box, snatching a ballot box, ensuring that we don't have overvoting and the likes. Now, he has a responsibility to ensure that the essence of beavers comes into play. Because from what we are told is that if you come to any polling unit, the number of voters in that polling unit is already preloaded in that beavers with your details and biometrics. So by the time you come for accreditation, with your fingerprints, with your facials, you are checked to confirm that you are the person and you vote. And by the time you have been accredited, automatically a figure is entered into that beavers. So there's no way somebody is going to manipulate it. But we have seen that in recent elections, we have not been able to fully say that. We've also seen elections where accreditation was done without beavers. But if you go to the Electoral Act, it's already stated that you can't do accreditation without a device which INEC has accepted. But we have seen elections where in some places, because of one issue or the other, maybe the beavers is not working, and people still go through accreditation through the manual process. And when that happens, you know the challenge you might face. The second one is the issue of IRF. The essence of IRF is not about, because people mistook it last time. The essence of IRF is that once results are announced at that polling unit level, and you have access to the IRF, you'll be able to see that result, so that if anything happens along the line and it changes, you'll be able to decipher.
You can also see if the two of them tally.
Exactly, that's the essence. So we want to see him to make this IRF to become what it's supposed to be. Now they have given the promise that in Anambra Guber election that IRF is going to be used, that we are going to see results being uploaded in real time, because the essence of this real time is as it happened for here, it happened for here, so that there won't be time for any kind of alteration. So those mechanics we have already, or those mechanisms we have already, which have been put in place to ensure that we will have a decent election. Let's see how he gets to implement them. ensure that they are deployed the way they are meant to be deployed. And then we now see new innovations he's going to bring in, which those are going to come later. Then see the kind of reforms he's going to push, so that we could have an election whereby people can go to elections, then go back home when they have lost, and be able to call the person who won and say, thank you for this very race. I just want to digress to what is happening in Cameroon now. I spoke to somebody in Cameroon 2 days ago, and he told me he has not been going to his shop for some days because of the unrest in that very country. Why? Because election was held, and since the election was held, it's going into 2 weeks now.
No peace.
Result has not been announced, and they say have to think till Sunday to announce the election. But that place has been tension because of the fear that people are thinking that might be manipulated.
Even before the election, it's been a lot of tension.
Exactly. So we don't want to see that in our election. We want to see whereby we begin to de-escalate the tension in our elections, whereby people go to election, people go for elections, cast their vote, and they can go home. Anybody who imagines they will say, okay, this is the reflection of the will of the people. We want to see that happen. So let's see how he's going to put that his integrity to the test. Like I said, by the time pressure begins to come from different quarters regarding where people have interest, that is going to be the test of his integrity.
All right, Tony, let's round off on this particular conversation by looking at the men who arrived at Anambra, 4-man team. What are your expectations? And of course, Anambrarians need to be a part of this process. You know, when Ankwita said yesterday that every stakeholder has to be involved, political parties and most importantly the voters, I think this particular mock accreditation is also where we need the voters, because how do we do the mock accreditation if voters are not there for them to get accredited?
I think we have seen this as a routine exercise, especially during or before election. They will conduct mock election. They did that during the time of Edo State gubernatorial election. I think that was one of the worst elections conducted by Mahmoud Yakubu, and where we saw the election to be something quite different from what we thought it would have been. Yes, we saw how security agents were used to intimidate voters. We saw how elections were rigged. We saw how results were written in a broad light, and we saw how these things were collected. And during the collection, we saw candidates or parties shouting that this was not the result at the ward level, that it was substituted in most of the collections, and we saw the interest of the presidency. So it happened in Edo State. So, and before then there was a mock election. So what was the essence of the mock when it was obvious that the election was going to be rigged? What was the essence? I think the idea of mock is to test the functionality of the materials and tools that will be deployed during the election, the preparedness of even the election clerks, how they are going to manage these things, and the likely problem or challenges they are going to encounter, and how these challenges will be solved. These things were done in Edo State. What was the outcome? In our own place, there is this local adage that we usually say, after Okeke must have been inducted and conscripted into the army, where did he leave his boot, or where is his boot? You know, that means a lot. So that means that result of an outcome of election determines all of these preambles. Yes, mock election is a preamble. It does not tell if the election will be rigged or not. So we must learn from what is going on in some other places. Even in Cameroon, as you mentioned, we've seen a candidate declaring himself the winner of the contest, because the contest, I think, the presidential election were held on 12th of October, from 12th till today. Today is 24th. It tells a lot. And there have been protests in various cities over allegation of fraud, vote manipulation, irregularities in the voting process. And the main opposition candidate is Shiroma Bakare. In fact, he has declared himself the winner. He claimed he got over 54.8% of the vote. How he arrived at that, I don't know. But the Electoral Commission, ELECAM, and the ruling party have rejected the Bakare claim, saying Chiroma's declaration is invalid because only the Constitutional Council can legally proclaim the winner. And what have they been doing since October 12th? So it tells you a lot. These are things that fraud, irregularities, and some of these things usually breed. But where you have Paul Biya, where the preliminary counting results had given him about 53% of the votes, and people are protesting. That's the country of grandpa, because the president is a grand. In fact, I don't know if he's a grandpa. He's an ancestor. He's an ancestor. Paul Biya is an ancestor. Even the president of the Senate of that country is also an ancestor. I think he's about 93 years. 93 years, the president of the Senate. So, perhaps, by the way, why are these protestations in Cameroon where the country is boiling? Because the electoral umpire, Elekam, cannot do what is expected of it. And they are just following mainly, probably, I don't know, I don't say they are following Nigeria anyway. But I know that even the current chairman of that Elekam was appointed by Paul Biya. So he's expected why he's doing the bidding of Paul Biya against the wishes of the people. So that is, by the way, for Cameroon. Mock election in Anambra State is a routine exercise prior to election, but I keep saying most times when these things are done, we have not seen the impact, because the impact of this mock election, definitely the beavers, how these beavers will be used, their deployment, the logistics, these things will be measured. Not just measured, but sense in a way the people relates to these things. Its application. So, but we have not seen that either helping election not to be rigged or rigged. So my concern is for election to be free, for election to be fair, for election to be credible. One, the guidelines must be strictly be complied with, the laws and everything. The people will be allowed to vote freely, and where their votes will be seen to count. Transparency, openness in doing some of these things. Okay. And then the confidence again, because when people see things the way they are and where their wish is reflected, that is the fairness of the campaign. All right. Where every party, no matter how small the party is given fair treatment.
Okay, let me add something to this, because the team that is in Anambra State, of course, is a regular protocol that happens at every election. We welcome them, and of course we expect that they do the needful. But let me state this, because it's going to be as if I'm trying to be a prophet of doom, but I'm just going to say the obvious. By the time we go for this election, we are going to have places where election materials are going to arrive late. But what I'm asking them is to ensure that the number is not significant. How do I mean? Places where we've had issues of insecurity, definitely we are going to see later arrival of materials, but it's going to be late. Let it not be too late. Take for instance, since we are going to begin an election by 8:30, they should do everything humanly possible to talk with these very transporters, talk with security agencies who are going to provide security, so that these things will move early enough. Because if after having these very meetings, like yesterday there was a meeting with all these transport unions, if after having this very meeting, getting the assurances, then on the same election day, what happened in 1999 or 2003 will repeat itself, that means we're not growing. Then the meeting they also had with the EOs, last time I said this in here, that sometimes these people are poorly trained, that even on the election day, they don't even know how to apply, they don't even know the provisions of the Electoral Act in respect to what they are expected to do. So these guys are supposed to be trained and made to be they should be made to know or understand the Electoral Act, the part or the regulation that guide the way they're supposed to do these things on the election day. The issue of beavers too. Definitely, we're going to have places where beavers are not going to function very well. It's a fact. But like I said, if the number becomes significant after this very mock test, that means we learned nothing. But if at the end of the day we're able to reduce the number in comparison to the last election we had, then that would be that you're making progress. So I just want this very team that in the course of doing this their job, whatever they observe, they should be able to go back to the drawing board, go back to the table, and be able to ensure that there are alternatives, provided that if this happens, we go this very way, so that people will not come out for election for voting on that very day, and they'll be frustrated. People will queue up. You won't see election materials. Even when they are there, beavers can't accredit people. People will become disenchanted. So anything we can do to ensure that all those challenges we do encounter on the election day, anything we can do to bring them to the minimal level, let's get them done between now and before 48 hours before the election, so that people can go for this election and be able to have the confidence to come out for 2027 or any other election we're going to have in the country.
All right, then let's move on to other matters. Now, reps have made a move to strip President of PAS to sack EFCC chairman. The House of Representatives passed a bill seeking to strip the President of PAS to sack the chairman of the EFCC without approval of the National Assembly for second reading. The proposed legislation, sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Navy, Yusuf Gakti, is seeking to amend the EFCC Act 2004 to, among others, provide for the support of 2/3 of members of the National Assembly before an EFCC chairman can be removed from office. And of course, looking at this, some persons have asked the question, the same rubber stamp, when you do this, all the president may possibly need to do is to tell who is in charge, I need this done, and they still give the figures needed. And so the question is this the kind of reform we need to tighten the loopholes with bodies like EFCC? Also, we are learning that NAS has also made a move to repeal Electoral Act. Speaking about the National Assembly commencing moves to repeal the 2022 Electoral Act, explaining that the decision was prompted by public outcry for the amendment of several sections of the law. Tony, would you quickly speak on those before we open up the phone lines?
I think it's part of the reforms we have
pushed for.
Remember, I have been campaigning the power of appointing, fire and hiring. That is one of the things that weakens institutions. When a president has the power to fire and hire, it means those institutions will be at his own beck and call. They will be doing the bidding of the president and those around him. And anybody who is close to Mr. President or who connects to Mr. President, the institution bows to those people against doing the will of the people. So that is the beginning of the bastardization of institutions we have in the country. They have identified one institution, EFCC, and said no, the president cannot sack the chairman of EFCC, because if that be the case, it means that whenever Mr. President sneezes, the entire institution catches cold, and it shouldn't be so. So now they are trying to make an amendment to replace that with the representatives of the people. National Assembly, whether you like it or not, they are the representatives of the people. Whatever they do, it's assumed that the people are the ones doing it. That's the language. Whatever the National Assembly does, it is assumed that the people are the ones doing that. That's why they can't take decisions without engaging the people. That's why sometimes people will tell you they are on their own, that what they are doing is not what we ask them to do. So for them to really do that which reflects the will of the people, they must consult their people, come back and say, this is what my people want. This is not what I want as a person. This is not what I want as a member of a political party. Even if my party wants this, what my people want supersedes what my political party wants. How many of them do things like this? So that is why, if you talk about INEC, if you talk about our judiciary, where the president used an ex parte order to sack the Chief Justice of the Federation. Walter Odoge was sacked by President Muhammadu Buhari using an ex parte order. You know, I have challenged this many times here, and I said, you cannot change the constitutional mandate using an ex parte order without putting the other party on notice and possibly where the judge listens to the other party. But it happened in this country. And people are saying that executive has captured a lot of institutions, and that's why we have weak institutions. That's what we have in the country, is executive capture. Which institution have they not captured? Which institution is free from the high-handedness of the executive, either at the federal level or the state level? Tell me that institution. And we are talking about the arrest of Showore yesterday in court. What happened? And it was a sham, honestly speaking. And where the charges, I was discussing this with Franklin before we got into the studio, and I was telling him, can you imagine police saying that these people were arrested because of disobeying order of the court? And I told him we are discussing. I said, police have no right to arrest anybody for disobeying the order of the court. He has no right. If an order of the court is disobeyed, the people involved or the party involved goes back to the court and make application that your order has been disobeyed. The court will look into it and probably issue a bench warrant. Was that done? And you say that these protesters were arrested because they disobeyed. That is the country we are in. So, but that is, by the way, this
and
will tell you.
has been arrested.
Of course. And I don't know.
What do you make of that arrest?
So it's an afterthought. He was not the primary target. The Nigerians started reacting.
The word is that he hired protesters to go to places in contravention of a court order.
Is it within your jurisdiction to enforce, the order of the court that he was disobeyed without having a recourse to the same court? That's what we are saying. They don't have just the right. Police have no power, no right to arrest protesters on disobeying the order of the court. You have to go back to the same court. See, we have seen things happen in this country. Why we are going in that direction is the fact that we're telling you the executive capturing of some institutions. Which institution is left?
Tony, let me ask at this point, because I went through that very story about National Assembly moving to strip the president of the right to fire EFCC chairman without making recourse to the National Assembly, because they want it in a way that if they are going to amend this very law, if Mr. President wants to fire EFCC chairman, he goes to the National Assembly and secure 2/3 support of members of the National Assembly. Maybe on the surface it might look good, but if you consider the quality of people we have as lawmakers, whereby once we elect a president, the president ensures that whoever leads the two chambers of the National Assembly are in sync with him. Just like we have Abio, who has told us that whatever the president thinks is right, and they're going to do that. So if eventually we have this amendment in our constitution, and then Mr. President wants to fire EFCC chairman whom he believes needs to go for any reason, and he goes to the National Assembly, which has said on your mandate will stand. So what's the difference?
The thing is it could be for future purpose, not for this president's National Assembly, because as far as we are concerned, the president National Assembly is rubber stamp.
Even the ones to come.
But the point is this: is sometimes being displayed, but we keep mute. Each time the National Assembly is constituted, party and the president should take their hands off their leadership, because the party will have a caucus meeting and decide that Mr. President wants Mr. A to be the Senate President, to be this and to be that. And you know why they choose a particular person? The person they have known over the time, over the years, that he is this kind of person in character wise. Where we have to introduce a legislation. Can they introduce a legislation where the party, political party, and even the president, we must make laws to suit our peculiarities, not minding how it's been done? Somebody will say in US it is always majority, the party that wins majority of the seat usually come up with the speaker. Usually in the UK, party with majority of the seat usually see, but we've seen that is not working in this country, and it's becoming a kind of a virus. See, for us to have the independence of the National Assembly as we speak today is not independent. The judiciary as we speak, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know about you, it's not independent. So even INEC, the word BS independent, it is not independent. So for us to start making these institutions independent, we must even introduce legislations that will bar political parties and anybody from the executive from having any influence at all, overtly or covertly. The word there is covertly or overtly, because by the time they start sending messages or start sending some things or having a kind of caucus meetings, wherever we have whistleblowers that can blow it, and anybody who is touted for any of these things is automatically disqualified. So we can't start, implement. Somebody will say, who will enforce this? Who will enforce it? Because it takes an independent judiciary to enforce the laws of the land. If not for US judiciary, United States would have been the way Nigeria is, but their judiciary bowed it because the executive thought about capturing every institution in US. The last they could not capture judiciary. That is why they made sure that the Supreme Court judges, they are 12 in number, they are for life. You can't sack them. They can only be removed by the Congress. They are there for life. They will be on that seat and die. But in Nigeria, once a judge is, maybe Supreme Court judge is thinking about his retirement, what will be the life after my retirement? Am I going to get the benefit? Am I not going to get the benefit? Why don't I do this? Why don't I dance to this person's tune so that I can get benefit? I can live a life after my service. US made their own that you must be there till you die.
And so you don't have to be afraid
you don't need to say it.
All right, we need to quickly attend to some commercials. We open up the phone line immediately after that. Do stay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
ụmụ Chineke cherekwanụ n'ihi na ihe anyị na-achọ n'ukolu ọ nwụchiela gị n'ụkwụ nke ugbu a bụkwa Ukpo City Wide Crusade site n'obiọma ndị Ukpo Christian Association. Nke a bụkwa pụrụ iche n'ihi na mgbanwe nnwere onwe nzọpụta ga-adịkwa live. Isiokwu ọgbakọ crusade a bụkwa The Lord He is God. Onye ozi Chukwu etere mmanụ pụrụ iche Apostle Johnson Suleman ga-awụchikwa live n'Ukpo wee totuo ike nke Chineke n'ụdị pụrụ iche. Ndị ọbụla betere mmanụ Ambassador Chinyere Udoma nakwa Minista Edwin Alex ga-anọkwa live n'oge a. Ọgbakọ crusade a ga-akpọrọ n'ụbọchị Tuesday mkpụrụ ụbọchị 28 nke Ọktoba afọ anyị nọ n'ime ya n'elekere 4 nke uhuruchi kpọmkwem, nakwa n'ụbọchị Wednesday mkpụrụ ụbọchị 29 nke Ọktoba n'elekere 8 nke ụtụtụ nakwa n'elekere 4 nke uhuruchi. Ogige Walters Memorial Secondary School a na-akpọbụ Boys Secondary School Ukpo na ncherịta iru All Saints Anglican Church Ukpo n'ime kansụl dị nke Ọfịa nke Anambra Steeti. A ga-enwekwa ụgbọala ga-ebu ndị mmadụ n'efu n'oge a. Maka ihe ndị ọzọ ị ga-achọ ịmata, kpọọ akara ekwentị ndị a 09039521048 maọbụ 08062978399. Ekwela ka akọrọ gị aka maka crusade a, gwazikwa ndị ya dị uno.
You go from Nancy, here we come.
Vote John Chuma Nwosu of the African Democratic Congress (ADC) as the next governor of Anambra State.
ADC,
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa chicken they does yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, that chicken they do. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, minta. Wendy's bread, you get the better tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread. Metwaka no be, when them metwaka no be, so bend you woman, metwaka no be, go nyanga na one day, metwaka no be, to bebe zero kuko, Mama forgot chipozo, Mama forgot chipozo, metwaka no be, together kuga go to be,
aka ebe sere ọkụkọ ka ọ lụọ tụ egwu rụrụ ọrụ ọma gaba n'iru.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Now the phone lines are open 0803-221-697-30, 0803-827-6694. It is the Polity and it is Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Be as objective as possible. Let's do this in a minute 30 seconds. Let's not waste time on courtesies and of course go straight to the point and turn down the volume on your radio set. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Chisom.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Olisa Mbeki.
He can hear you. Go ahead, please.
The voice of Eden is the measure. Can I go on?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, please. I want to plead to you, please. When somebody exceeds his time or her time, you give time first before cutting the person off. I have advised that we buy there or something that will make the person to know the time. Thank you, as we comply. Then, police arresting Soule. They are saying the word because I need to the word listening and seeing what is happening in this country. They are showing the world the type of democracy we are practicing in this country. Yes, because I don't know the reason why we arrest somebody that organized peaceful demonstration, no breaking of law. Olisa Mbeki, he said it the other day, and he made it very clear, even this morning, that police have no jurisdiction, police have no right to arrest him. Yes, I don't know how come they did not arrest him when he went to visit the apprehended. I don't know how they come to the conclusion to arrest him this time. Well, that is Nigeria for you. Then, in that issue, Olisa Mbeki the other time counted the 12 states they have supposed to take, and they have taken about 8 or 9. To be precise, this will make it 10 or 11. And I want to tell you, awareness during voting, they don't do it well. Like Olisa Mbeki said the other time, that all these things exist even to talk about pulling it up. But like now, card, they have told us to come and pick our card. I've gone there yesterday. So in fact, what they are doing there, many people, we are there. They are wasting time. They living. Today they say those that transfer is for the day for those that transfer. So I don't see seriousness yet. I don't see seriousness yet.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. I'd have to let you go at this point.
Thank you.
All right. He's talking about the persons who are distributing the voter cards. What are they doing? Hello, good morning.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Chisom, Franklin, and Dr. Olisa Mbeki. Very good morning to you all.
You're welcome.
Chidi Chukuma joining you from board this morning. Yes, the new INEC chairman, the expectation of Nigerians are very, very high. And if we fail to change our electoral system, that will be a very big disservice to this nation. We want him to revisit our electoral system. We want him to restore the confidence of the voters. The causes of the voters' apathy in Nigeria are not far to fetch. So many people have been disappointed, and that is why most of the time you see people who will tell you that they will rather stay at home and enjoy the offense salad. And then some people will continue to criticize. I think if those people are doing that, are making a demand. Because I had it Tony Olisa Mbeki one day say that if you want changes in this nation, people must make a demand. And that is the expectation of Nigeria. The people that stay at home, that is the demand that they want them to the electoral empires to restore their confidence that when they vote that their vote will be counted. And also the image of INEC has been so bad. I think it's the people that make it not to work, and I know that it's somebody that will make it to start working. That is what we're expecting from him. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Chidi Chukuma. Good morning.
My name is Badmos. I'm calling from Onewe.
Let's hear you, Badmos.
Good. When Yaradua came to power through election rigging, he confessed that the election that brought him to power is marred with irregularities and all whatnot. So, anybody expecting any change in electoral act from Tinubu could have, had it been the time he was swearing in that he did like Yaradua, then Nigeria will be expecting anything different in 2027. But he shared it, he loved the way he went, so Nigeria will also expect the same election that happened in 2023 in 2027 because the president is not condemning. Now, let me go to Sowore. I have said it here. Sowore is Tinubu's boy. The reason why they arrested Sowore yesterday is because people started complaining. Why do you leave the person that convened the protest and allow her? That's what happened. And very soon, either today or tomorrow, you will hear that all of them are in the list. You understand? So, Sowore is Tinubu's boy, and nothing will happen to him. And anything you are doing with Sowore, you have to be very careful, because at the end of the day, Sowore may be a free person, and you'll be rotting in jail. So the reason why they arrested Sowore yesterday is not necessarily because of the protest, it's because of what people are saying, the reaction and sentiment that is on. That is why the presidency now thought it wise, and then they play that game. So, yes, today or tomorrow you will see that, you will hear that all of them have to be. Now, let me go to the other side.
You should be rounding off.
The issue of appointing INEC chairman and all whatnot. What Nigerians should be advocating for is this. Let the president appoint who becomes the INEC chairman, the chief judge, or all whatnot. But let him not be the one that will sack them. If we can get that, then we know that we have get it right. Let him appoint whoever he wants as INEC chairman. But whenever they have issues, he should not be the one to remove him from office. Let him be state assembly or national assembly or even through referendum before the INEC chairman will be removed. And you will see that all this nonsense of rigging of the election and compelling INEC chairman, compelling chief justice, compelling police to do whatever they want to do by the position will stop. That's the only way out. Thank you.
All right, let's see who else is on the line. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My lady. Thank you very much. Chief Tony Olisa, good morning. Good morning, my friend.
You're welcome.
I want to congratulate you for the in-depth analysis yesterday on Nnamdi Kanu's issue. We should have some more of that, especially now that he's gotten people that were defending. If I was pleasantly surprised to hear that people like Agadi and Co were still there with it. Fantastic. And my friend that went to dance for police and got himself arrested is a present lawyer. That is that. And we're still following that. I think what Nnamdi Kanu has done now is, yes, it's okay if you lose it. I thought to them that everyone that participated from his arrest from either Ethiopia or Asmara or wherever, okay, should come now and testify. That's why I'm interested in Malami and Ugu Ota, the Patakot. Yes, I'm wicked. A lot of young men died there. So let him come tell us what really happened. And the general that said, go and put on, defend yourself. Let us stand. I like that. Face to face. See me, I see you. Let's talk about that. Yes, let Nigerians now become the jury. Epesia, ayini rabano, keke tuweje, unyo melunka kobozi, speculation, nothing. I like that, and that is a man that has a lot of guts and courage. That is very good. Wasn't on Nigeria. No. Wasn't Igbo. All nationality in Nigeria. Then Cousin Chief Jonathan. What is going on there? Tompolo and Rice coming up to beg him not to contest. And someone is scared, isn't it? Someone is scared. Why is somebody scared of Jonathan? So that they don't steal some of the votes from the South and the Southeast. Yeah? We know he's not going to win president. At least that's my personal opinion. Well,
right.
So be it. Let them let him go. Good for him. No problem. And then the other one, please just a second. So long as you have these institutions like the legislature on your mandate will stand, you have INEC, and then you have judiciary and the purview of the president. Where do you think you're going to go with our elections this time around? So those on your mandate to stand are those that you are supposed to fix.
We should let you go now. We have to let you go now,
much.
Daisy. Thank you for your contribution. We take one more call, then head over to Facebook. Just to remind you, it is at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Chisom. Thank you, Dr. Mbeki, Mr. Frank as well. This is calling from Territory Inquiry, precisely. And I am as well in line with the same person that asked the INEC chairman to go on and do what his predecessor said. And so now, because they have humiliated in the grace of the Biafrans, that by some people that are preempting from being the original people of Biafra and continuously participating in the so-called contraction Nigeria. And I am thanking God enough for the last election shall be a sinful election to compare the coming one. And I am asking myself as well, the people of Biafra, so right this time, Namdekan is there. Namdekan is there. He's there for you. He's there for your children to come. What are you really doing participating in Nigerian politics? The darkened the children as Nigeria. I'm talking to tell me that your very nation has been a raised out from the top of the world, the Biafran holy nation created by God of Israel. What are we really talking about? As we go home and take our lesson properly. Please, let's go and let's learn our lessons. We have been raised up from the total story of Nigeria. What are you talking? What is Nigeria about? I don't know about it. Let Nnamdi can't be there. If he died, we'll all die. That is not the way it must go. Those Biafrans and how they smell the state of Nigeria.
Right. I have to let you go.
Okay, so let me say this, because nobody's going to die, and all of us are not going to die. That's what we're going to take from that very last call. And with that, we'll go to our Facebook page to see the comments we have there. Chieluze Prince says he's writing from Onitsha Main Market, precisely Christchurch / North Edge Street. He says last week we had an emergency meeting on Friday. Our chairman in that meeting told us that he received a call from the head of ASMATA chairman, Anambra State from Oka, that we should pay 100,000 naira for the support of Saludo's campaign, and they told him that he has 1 week to do so, and also sent him an account number with the name ASMATA. He was told that we have 1 week to do so. If not, they will remove him from that seat and put a caretaker chairman. He had to plead with them, saying they should please wait so he can call a meeting of all people on our line and inform us. And at the end of the day, we concluded that we're going to contribute 500 naira each, which we did yesterday. And he's saying, if you doubt what I'm saying, when you finish in the studio, come down to Christchurch North Edge line. And he dropped his phone line. He says, I personally will take you to our chairman office so that you will hear from him directly. And he said, when according to him, the chairman said that other chairmen were also called and they were told to do the same thing. These are the people, leaders of different structures, who are trying to leverage the groups they lead to gain the goodwill of the government of the day. Now, Anoms Emmy says Okay, so stop defending Union ESCO's so-called voluntary contribution to the governor of Anambra State. Don't you think that they will also influence their respective communities to also do same? For INEC chairman, I don't believe his statement one bit. Naso Festus Okoye, Mikey Guinea, Itodo of Yega Africa, and Mahmoud Yakubu made all sweet and soothing statements before the 2023 elections. But Nabobo we see in the end. According to him, believe him at your own peril. Ichie Billion says information on how town union PGs are donating money for Soludo's re-election is not far from the truth, but for them to be contributing 75,000 naira is questionable. The real amount involved could be 7.5 million for every PG and not 75,000 as propounded by majority. Well, our information is incorrect. By the way, don't even neglect 75,000. We have like a 179 communities in Anambra State. If you multiply 75,000 by 179, you have like 14 million naira. So it's not a chicken's change. Then Godswill Okoye says, I have made this statement before on this platform. There's no way INEC chairman can conduct free and fair election in Nigeria, more especially presidential election, as long as the appointment comes from the office of Mr. President. If National Assembly were the one to appoint INEC chairman, that's when we will expect a credible election. Tino Bieze is watching from Electrical International Market of Bosi. Thank you for following. Clement or the first says, okay, he's asking Tony, can you categorically say that Mr. Governor has erred by publicly saying that the best local governments in terms of election results come November 8 will be rewarded with 10 million naira? Is it not an advanced vote buying? He posted from Abagana. Then also Francis Omaga Namani from Enugu State, Amagos precisely. He says the new INEC chairman, Professor George Amopito, should do everything possible to bring sanity and credibility to our electoral process. Nigerians wouldn't accept unnecessary excuses anymore. Mazimuri Chikwado says the arrest of Mr. Show is clearly an indication that Nigerians don't have right to protest. In fact, this country lacks rule of law. The speeches of the new INEC chairman is quite let me say the speech of the new INEC chairman is quite interesting, but it will not but I will not clap for him now until he shows Nigerians full working positively in our electoral system. He posted from FM Onitsha. Ifeanyi Nguma says, congratulations to Professor Joash Amopiton. He should put his talks to works. That's the only way to regain our trust in the Nigerian electioneering. Okoye Anglika, thank you for watching. Nanyelugo Abagana from Airport Road, Benin City. That's where he's listening to. So he's asking Tony some questions about the issue of that very time union. Thank you for commenting. Then Dr. Mrs. Molebra from Owerri State says government is a continuum. It should learn to be more credible and trusted in making policies and pronouncements. All its agreements, negotiations, and decisions must be measured and weighed to ensure prompt and timely implementation. Past experiences have shown that a good number of government promises and pledges kept shifting and reneging as government is deemed unserious. And playing politics with education. Let's all stakeholders in education come together and find lasting solution to this ASU issue. AK Gonas, and
that's much we can take.
Yes, so thank you for dropping your comment.
Thanks for being a part of today's show, gentlemen. We are taking down the curtain. Tony, this is the last edition for the week. A lot of things have been said. We understand that Nnamdi Kanu should have made an appearance this morning, or he already made an appearance, or he did not open his case as expected for someone who said he's going to be defending himself.
He said that he will be given time to familiarize himself with his case file. So he demanded that the case file be given to him so that he will go through the case file, familiarize himself with the case file so that he will be able to prepare himself very well.
Don't you think this is going to be delaying the entire procedure?
It could, but most importantly, he has chosen to do what he's doing. But the most important thing, he will be guided. I am aware there are some lawyers that would also guide him so that he would not make procedural errors or procedural mistakes. So these things will be put in check.
Your final words for today.
I think somebody was actually asking, is not advanced vote buying for governor to say that the local governments that perform very well, that they will be rewarded with 10 million. I think it's a party thing. Some parties have their ways of rewarding efforts. So if a party has decided to say that if you perform last, if you perform best, they will give him to this, or as far as it's a party thing, there's no problem. But if the money for governance or the Anambra people money will be used for that, it is wrong. But it is something the party does within. There's nothing wrong with it.
All right, thank you, Tony, for your analysis this week. Franklin.
Now, let me say this. This is my own projection. Amopito is going to give us a mixed feeling about election. My prediction. Mixed feeling in the sense there are some elections he's going to conduct and it will be immaculate. And there are some he's going to conduct and will be asking questions. But after 2027, that's when we're going to see what he stands as a man, whether he's going to be a man of his words or not. Then for Anambra, a good election, I must say that I'm quite disappointed. As I speak to you now, I have not seen the manifesto of any of the candidates. As I'm speaking to you, I have not seen the manifestos.
I asked questions about the manifesto of the Anambra State present, the incumbent, and I was told that he has a manifesto already from the last.
For him, he doesn't need to produce another one because it's a continuation. So the manifesto is still in my phone here, but all other candidates, I have not seen their manifesto. So does that mean that they do not take us seriously? So if that is the case, then it's not left for you
contenders
to know how
and pretenders. Fingers crossed. 15 days and we'd find out for ourselves. Thank you for being a part of the Polity this week. I'd always admonish you to be the Nigerian who does what is needed to get and to achieve and build the Nigeria of our dreams. The Polity will make a return next week, Monday, 9:15, down to 11 a.m. every weekday, and of course a repeat broadcast by 2 a.m. See you on Monday. I am Chisom Chinedu. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7